I know who the knight really is. And I'm gonna tell you, it ain't one of these three, and it certainly isn't this guy. No, the knight is them. That's right, I'm proposing that the knight is the vessel, the very first thing you created at the start of the game. Alright, now, I can't just go acclaiming that the vessel is truly the knight without giving some evidence as to why it's not those guys. Because, come on, everyone thinks it's Des. Everyone's like, it's gotta be December holiday, guys! No, it's not. Here's why it can't be Des specifically, then I'll mention why it's not the other two. Okay? And we're not gonna talk about Papyrus, because, come on, nobody thinks it's Papyrus. So first off, why it isn't Des? Well, simply, to me it doesn't make much sense on a motivation level for two characters. First, Des herself. What is she? Why is she doing this? Why is Des out here fighting all that? And also, who the fuck is that in the code if Des is out here making dark fountains, going willy-nilly, flying all over the place, right? Who is that down there in the code in the unused text? Is it just someone we never met before? If that's the case, then why? Why give this such importance to where it's there and keeps getting updated? Plus, it doesn't make much sense for Carol. Why would Carol Holiday work with the knight if the knight is Des? Right? Because, like, many people theorize that the reason she's working with the knight is, oh, well, she's trying to bring the Des back. But, like, Des is right there. We got her, boys. No longer a lost girl. There she is. And then there's other evidence as well. Like, for example, at the end of chapter 4, right? You know, if you just try and run away from your problems, leave the Titan, go back into where you came from, it stops you. It says, like, there's a hand pressing against you, and then there's a faint guitar strain, like, very, very quietly. I don't think it's unhearable, which is just like the unused text, clearly linking them together. And we saw the knight go the other way. And then there's also the problem of, why would she do that to her sister? For example, in Chapter 2, the whole thing of, oh, it could fit a large person inside. We know Birdley wasn't put in there. We left Birdley there, you know? Birdley got taken to the hospital, he was found. So it's not like, oh, weird route, that's just where you put Birdley. That means it has to imply something that you can fit a person in there, which makes me think, oh, well, Des was in there, jumped out, and then started the Dark Fountain? But then, why would Des do that, you know? Why would Des put her own sister, risking her life? Like, does she not care about her sister anymore? Because if that's the case, if she's lost all personality, then what's the point of it even being Des? It might as well be nobody. Right. Next on, we'll go on to Carol. Carol is just the most red herring of red herring that's ever red herring, guys. It's very obvious. Like, look at everything she's done, right? The entirety of Chapter 4, right at the start, she's over there, she's scolding Noelle, and we're supposed to believe that she somehow sprinted full speed, made it to the church, and set up the whole thing before we got there? Yeah, okay. Like, she's very much in on it, but, like, why would she need the corkboard that's in her room if she's the knight? Well, she already knows everything. There's no point in having a corkboard. You are the corkboard, girl. And plus the katana. Like, guys, is she carrying that katana everywhere? Like, are we supposed to just think the mayor is casually carrying the katana all over the place and nobody in the town's batting an eye? It's like, really? And also, Susie, for example, saw the knight at the end of Chapter 4. This also goes against Rudy because she sees somebody carrying Undyne away on the outside of the Dark Fountain. So it has to be somebody that she doesn't know. Because if it was somebody she's seen before, like she has seen Rudy and she has seen Carol, like they're literally forced to see them. And Susie's not like, oh, hey, that was the knight. They just carried Undyne to the shelter. Right? Like, it doesn't make sense. Because, like, she's literally forced to see them in the very next chapter. I think if there was going to be something where, oh, they're the knight, and Susie sees them in the next chapter, in my eyes, is Toby basically saying, well, it's not them, because she sees them. She's seen both things on the surface, and it ain't the same thing. Not in her eyes, at least. And Rudy as well, I can see maybe in the Dark World. You know, maybe in the Dark World, he's strong enough, right? But on the surface, unless he's full-on faking an injury, which at that point, he would have had to been doing this for a while, because it wasn't like he was just put in the hospital, right? He's tricking all of the doctors, tricking all of his family, and to do what? Like, he also lacks the motivation that Carol lacks, if Des is the knight. I mean, I guess he could be trying to save Des, but then what's Carol's whole deal with this? Why, how does he know anything, you know? It can't be them, because how would they get this information? And if they've always had this information, why are they just now acting? Why are they, like, did they need the soul? But then how did they know the soul was coming? Because as soon as we took over Chris, we went there. It's not like we made a pit stop over at the mayor's house, like, hey guys, we got the soul, we can start the plan. Like, as soon as the soul was implanted, from our knowledge, we started moving. So, it doesn't work like that. Lastly, when you picture the knight taking off their helmet, right? That's not possible with horn. Well, I guess it's possible if they were like barely a helmet and the back wasn't covered at all. But what I'm thinking is, it's more of a, you know how Vikings got it in their depictions? The Viking battle crowns? That's what I'm seeing it as. And you might be thinking, Toby Fox wouldn't do that. But we're forgetting, Toby also had Chris make a dark fountain right in front of us so everyone would think that they're the knight. This is totally something Toby Fox would do to throw us off. I don't know why people were like, no, he would never. But here's someone that you may not have thought of that there is evidence for. The vessel, right? And you may be thinking, okay, this guy's lost it. But no, there's actual evidence for this, alright? So, first off and foremost is their poses. Have you ever noticed that with the knight and Chris? That they pose very similar, both of them. It's weird, right? Why do they pose the same way that the knight does? Well, these poses, it's not even like they're similar. They're very much the same, especially that one there on the bottom left. You know who would act very similar to the person that we're controlling? Maybe the person that we designed to have control over, right? We designed to be them. It's perfect. It makes absolute sense. But that's not all of the evidence. There is also the fact that when you see the knight summon the sword out of its hand, you can see, like I just said, it comes out of its hand. And it seems to be made of the same exact material that the knight itself is made of. That means that the knight, and presumably its sword, because we get the black shard and the shadow crystal, is pure darkness. And the only character that we know that would be pure darkness is the vessel. But there's also the fact that the vessel is incomplete. We never finished making them, which would explain why, if the vessel's the knight can just shapeshift, turn into balls, turn into all these things, right? It would make perfect sense if it's incomplete. If you notice, the vessel also fights with a sword, just like Chris. And the last one, you see that giant hole in the middle whenever it screams? What if that is exactly where we were supposed to go? So here is what I think the motivation for the vessel is, to be the knight. The vessel was, from its perspective, discarded by us. The vessel doesn't know that we were taken away. Because remember, we were told the vessel cannot hear us. So the vessel doesn't know what happened. All it knows is that we left it. So it was probably a little angry, right? And that's why it wants to cause the roaring. It sees that we're going into Chris, and then it wants to cause the roaring to get back at us. And then Chris and the mayor are also using the vessel to try and get back Des. They're all trying to use each other for their goals, basically. So they're working together, but they're not working together. You know what I mean? But ultimately, I think this fits Deltarune as a whole. You know, your choices don't matter, which makes it very thematic when the first choice you ever made ends up being the big bad all along. I think that's going to be great in the story if that happens. Who knows? I might be wrong. Chapter 5 is going to come out soon, and it's probably going to disprove this whole thing. Des is going to take off the helmet, it's going to be her the whole time. But until that happens, I'm going to believe this. Anyway, thanks for watching. Bye-bye.